I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. Today we have Megan Ramos with us, and she's going to be talking a little bit about how carnivore and fasting have made a difference for her. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Amber. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you for being on. I caught a little bit of your interview with Sean, and you had some great stuff to say, so I'm very excited to get to listen to more. So when you first decided to start fasting and especially carnivore, what made you want to do that? Were you having any kind of issues? Were you trying to improve something? What was the reason for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had all kinds of issues. I'm like a month shy of 36. So I've had what I think is my fair share of health issues. I was diagnosed with fatty liver when I was 12 and PCOS when I was 14, but they didn't understand because my BMI was classified as underweight. In hindsight, I know I was TOFI, thin on the outside, but fat on the inside at those ages. But my doctors told me I would just grow out of it. They told my parents not to worry. My liver would be fine. This is very bizarre stuff. So I never grew out of it. And in my mid-20s, especially when I was done with school, trying to be more responsible by making sure I woke up and ate breakfast and I bought plenty of snacks to work and I didn't study through my lunch break that I actually ate. I quickly gained a lot of weight and developed type 2 diabetes. So I had these pre-existing medical issues from my childhood on top of these other health issues. And I was 27 when I was diagnosed with type 2. So at that point, my colleague, his name's Dr. Jason Fung, he said, hey, I'm doing some interesting research in fasting. Why don't you give it a shot? And he's like, by the way, you need to cut out like all of the junk. And I only ate junk. So you need to not eat all that junk, especially all that fruit, like gosh. And I thought that was healthy. I didn't think that was necessarily junk. So I was able to fast. My diet was a journey. And in 6 months, I reversed the fatty liver, the PCOS, and the diabetes, and I lost a ton of weight, ton of body fat. So it inspired me to start to want to optimize my diet. And once you reverse all those conditions, like the brain fog lifts and you feel good. And it's like, wait, I don't hate exercise. I actually want to do it. And so you get into this place, like when I was sick, I didn't think happiness in life was possible. Like I didn't even have the ability to think that it could be possible. So once you start, like for me, what got me into even changing my diet was getting to that healthy place with fasting and being like, this is cool. Like I can actually feel good and I can feel good for more than 1 hour at a time. I can actually feel good for like a year at a time, this is cool. So now let's see how far I can take it. And that is sort of what drove me to really sort of optimizing my diet and then experimenting with something like carnivore. For me, it was actually some of my patients who I had recommended it to as a means to help change up their diet because I was so motivated by the work that like Sean was doing and some of our other carnivore friends in the community. And I was just blown away, like A1Cs going from like 9.8 to 5.6 over the course of like 6 or 8 weeks. And for me, like I've always loved eating meat. And that was something that was never not recommended with my family, but growing up, it was a lot of like not fatty meats. So maybe not as boneless, skinless chicken breasts are not that exciting. So I did very much enjoy eating like fattier meats. And that was something I felt very comfortable doing. And I think that really helped make my transition from the junk to like a real food diet by embracing like the chicken wings and the ribeyes. I'm not great with organ meat, but I'm working on it. So for me, it's just made me feel good. It helps prevent against the brain fog. And then just seeing like just this desire to really like biohack and optimize my health, and seeing what carnivore did for a lot of patients made me want to do it. And then also the simplicity of it too. Like I'm busy. I pre-pandemic, I traveled like nonstop, like getting groceries wasn't easy, but I could store all of the like animal products. Like we bought half a cow and filled the freezer up with it. So that just made it's carnivore. For me, one of the desires too was to simplify life. And it was also a relief at the start of the pandemic when people were really freaking out and hoarding food. And my husband and I just looked at each other. I'm like, we got like half a cow. Like we're good. Like, if we do, I do tend to cycle my diets with the seasons. So that is an approach that I'm personally trying to take for metabolic flexibility that I'm interested in experimenting with. So we're just coming off of, well, we're in the dead of summer, but in the winter months, definitely like very animal based. And then I cycle with the seasons. But for me, it was just cool knowing I'm like, I have a freezer. I have two actually downstairs full of everything essential that I need. And like, what a cool and huge relief that was, like going into this very bizarre situation.
I love it. That is great. And wow, you were diagnosed so young. How very scary. Yeah, I can't wait to hear about how everything has gotten so much better. But okay, so when you started fasting, how did you implement that? And then when you moved into carnivore, let us know a little bit more about how you did that, like what specific types of meats and what consists in your routine of carnivore. And did you have any transitional issues with either one, fasting or carnivore?
Yeah, so I think I struggled the most with fasting at the start. But then I was coming off of a diet of like Domino's and McDonald's and like 90 apples a week because I thought that was okay. So I was in really rough health shape. So it was a bit of a transition. But after my first month of fasting and really trying to cut back some of the junk, it became a lot easier. But I definitely experienced a lot of flu-like symptoms at the start. I had to use a lot of bone broth for that first month. But moving, like I was so motivated by my results in the first month that it just made things easier. So eventually I found fasting, like I felt better going into the second month on a fasted day than I did on an eating day because I was still not eating great on my eating days. So I did find the fasting to be really awesome, like really awesome around that 6-week mark. But the first month was rough. Then there was a couple of weeks where this is getting to be okay. And then around that 6-week mark, I'm like, okay, like I can do this. Like I can take this all the way home to good health. And it was just getting through that initial month. I was fortunate, I could get my own lab test and was very motivated to do so. And I saw, like you can't deny when your A1C drops 0.5% over the course of a month that you're doing something good for yourself. So that there was just that month of those flu-like symptoms coming off of the crappy diet. If in hindsight, if I knew back then, keto wasn't as popular, low carb was just starting to gain some traction those many years ago, I probably would have put a little bit more effort into my diet before starting to fast. In terms of carnivore, so I've always been a picky eater, and I think it's a product of my environment growing up. Like Monday was very much pizza, Fridays were Chinese food, Wednesdays mom would cook a roast. We ate the same foods in repetition, and I ate a diet. I what people sometimes refer to as like a beige diet or the autism spectrum diet. Like I didn't even eat a lot of vegetables until my late 20s. When I was 30, I met my now husband. I got married at 31, and he will literally eat like everything. So when I first started transitioning to carnivore for like winter months, I wanted to check it out after my patients inspired me. I don't think I really struggled with too much, but my variety was limited just because I was never an exploratory eater. So I'd say if I struggled with anything at the start, it was just sort of a little bit of monotony for me. But at 30, almost 36, I'm a lot more open to trying new things, but I'm still very slow to do so. But luckily, my husband loves the simplicity of a carnivore diet. He cycles through it a lot more than I do. And again, it goes down to simplicity and his just love for meat. So because of him, I've expanded my palate a bit. Our dogs eat super carnivore. They had lamb and beef and salmon for breakfast this morning. So I just trying to mix things up. So usually beef, like I'm a huge beef girl. I do eat fish, so I'd cycle some of that in, but I'd say most of my meat consumption is beef. I have a soft spot for chicken wings that I will never give up, and I do eat pork and lamb as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And one thing that I love that you're doing is the experimentation and not being afraid of trying different things and seeing how it works with your body, and how awesome that you get to actually have access to, having things tested. I would love that. I think that that is the coolest thing. Okay, so our last question is, after you implemented fasting and then after implementing more meat, what were the big benefits that you noticed? What would you say was the most, in your face kind of moment?
I think like in terms of implementing fasting, like it gave me a handle on my life back. So back then my diet wasn't great, but it gave me a handle. It showed me that there was hope. I got more mental clarity. I got improved health markers, which made it more capable to do things. Like I always felt like I was 6 months behind. Professional to-do lists, personal to-do lists, and I was able to get to a mentally health space to get back on track. And that felt so good. And the anxiety and depression that came along with always feeling too sick to keep up, like all that was gone. And that was a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders. And then, in terms of just the health that like changing my diet has brought to me, I definitely think that adding in more animal fats and animal proteins in particular really has helped prepare my body to be a mom. I think at 36, I'm considered to be like geriatric by the standard standard health protocols, but actually in terms of fertility specialist, that I was just like, I'm more healthy now than I was younger. And I think that animal fat is just so important too for preparing one's body for fertility, and then during pregnancy, and then postpartum for helping with healing and for breastfeeding. And so I'm really excited, and I'm excited that my test results reflect how I feel as well. And then just optimizing my health helped so much. I had this weird thyroid genetic condition where one of the two important enzymes that converts T4 to active T3 has a genetic mutation. So I don't convert T4 to T3 very effectively. I still do, so to a certain extent, but stress can definitely make it challenging, and then that can sometimes result in adrenal issues as well. So I have to be really careful about stress, and I found that maintaining this diet that makes me feel so good, that really helps me manage stress so much better. At the start of this pandemic, we were going through some serious family stress. My mother was staying here and she brought all kinds of garbage foods. And during stress, in that growing up, it's a habit to reach for those foods. And I thought, no, like I need to stay strong for my whole family right now. And like, I have this power, like I know what food does to my mood, and I need to eat like the diet that works best for me to keep me, you know, mentally strong during all of this upheaval right now. And that's such a great gift, to be in control of that. And that's something that I think diet has, you know, it's enhanced my health. Like I'm not nervous about we have a major move, and then hopefully after that move, we can start a family, or in the transition of that move, start a family. And like, I have no concerns at my age. So those are really cool gifts to have. And that's something that nutrition has given me.
I love that response so much. And I love how you look at it as a gift. That gave me chills. I love that. And good luck to you on starting a family and your move and all the work you do. And it's just fabulous. And thank you so very much for joining us and sharing your story. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it. And be sure, y'all, go check out her interview with Sean. I caught just a little bit of it, unfortunately, but what I caught was really good. So be sure to check that out. Thanks again, Megan.
Thank you so much. And I thank you, everybody who's watching today. You can do this. Absolutely.
Love it. Bye, Megan.
Bye.